You know that feeling. The itch deep in your gut, like something's off in the world. That's how it began for me, a journalist in a Connie, on a humid morning. It started with Amika, a Kiki driver who vanished, then another, then a third. Police shrugged, but the drivers whispered about a shadow circling their ranks. The break came from Ameka's brother, Chidi. He found a hidden phone. Someone finally answered. What Chidi heard turned my itch into terror. Chidi sat across from me, trembling, hands wrapped around a warm bottle of soda. When the call finally connected, it wasn't Ameka's voice he heard. It was a whisper, raspy, weak, desperate. "Help us," the voice pleaded, frantic, broken by sobbing in the background. The man didn't know where he was. He said they were underground. He kept repeating it. "We are under the ground." He could hear muffled sounds above, a generator, forest birds. They'd been taken deep into the woods, down a forgotten path, marked by twin mango trees struck by lightning. The man described a dark, damp space with at least a dozen captives. He said his name was Samuel, a university student, not a Kiki driver. He'd found the phone on the dirt floor, dropped by a captor or a previous victim. He was risking everything to make this one call. The line was filled with static, the connection dying. Then, just before the call cut out, Samuel's voice rose. "They're coming back, oh God! They're coming back for someone." A heavy metallic scraping sound, a single piercing scream. The line went dead. Chidi was left with nothing but the dial tone and a silence louder than any scream. The whisper on the line wasn't just a plea for help, it was a message from the grave. The next morning, I did something reckless. I rented a beat-up sedan, picked up Chidi, and we drove. We followed the ghost whisperer's directions out of the city, into the suffocating green of the Onatara Forest Reserve. The paved road dissolved into cracked tar, swallowed by a wall of vegetation. We found them, two massive skeletal mango trees, their trunks blackened and split. They stood like sentinels, guarding a barely visible footpath. My heart was a drum. Every instinct screamed to turn back, but Chidi's determination kept us moving. We left the car and stepped onto the path. The world's noise vanished, replaced by a profound, listening silence. The canopy blotted out the sun, casting the forest floor in perpetual twilight. Every snapped twig sounded like a gunshot. The forest felt alive, watching us. We walked for what felt like hours, the path twisting, descending into a shallow valley. The smell of decay grew stronger, a sweet, sickly odor I couldn't quite place. Then, through a break in the trees, we saw it. A clearing, and in the center stood two structures, squatting under the oppressive green canopy, like malevolent trolls. The first building was a dilapidated shack, cobbled together from corrugated metal and rotting wood. The door was slightly ajar. Chidi and I exchanged a look. No turning back now. Inside, the smell was not of decay, but of people, sweat, perfume, life. The room was crammed, floor to ceiling with personal belongings, a house of lost things, piles of clothes everywhere, jeans, t-shirts, wrappers, children's sandals, hundreds, maybe thousands of articles stacked in messy piles, tossed into corners. In one corner a mountain of shoes, in another a tangle of handbags and wallets, all empty. This was the last stop for the possessions of people about to be erased. My hands shook as I sifted through a pile of shirts. I found a small, laminated ID card, Adiola, smiling, vibrant. I wondered where she was now. These weren't just things, they were the last traces of people. Each shoe, each shirt, each empty wallet, a silent testament to a stolen life. Chidi moved through the room like a man in a trance, searching for something of Amika's. He stopped at a heap of trousers, pulled out a worn leather belt with a silver eagle buckle. "This was his," Chidi whispered, voice thick with grief. He clutched the belt like a holy relic. It was the first concrete piece of evidence we had. Ameka had been here. The second building was a different beast. A large, windowless warehouse, its concrete walls stained with mildew and time. A high chain-link fence topped with rusted barbed wire surrounded the compound. The heavy-duty padlock on the gate was new. This place wasn't abandoned. It was secured. The sickly sweet smell of rot was stronger here, mixed with something metallic and sharp. We circled the perimeter, looking for a way in. Near the back, hidden by bushes, we found a section of fence crudely cut and pulled back. Someone else had been here. I squeezed through the gap, Chidi following, eyes wide. The back of the warehouse had a loading bay, sealed with a massive sheet of corrugated iron, braced with wood. Together we shoved the heavy metal aside just enough to slip through. We were plunged into near-total darkness. The air was thick, suffocating, the stench overwhelming. It was the smell of death, not clean, but foul, visceral. As my eyes adjusted, shapes resolved from the shadows. The interior was vast, the floor packed earth. Beams of dusty light revealed the horror within. The ground was littered with bones, human bones, yellowed and brown, some still bearing scraps of flesh. We had found it, the place where the missing people of Akani had ended up. We were standing inside a slaughterhouse. In the center of the vast space, under the largest hole in the roof, was the focal point, a slab, a solid block of concrete, stained deep reddish brown, the color of old blood. The angle was deliberate, designed to channel fluids downwards into a crude wooden bowl. My stomach heaved. This was not an ancient ritual. This was a workstation. The slaughtering slab. The missing people. The whispers on the phone. The metallic scraping sound. I imagined the victims dragged from their cell, forced onto this block. The terror in their eyes, the tools, the knives, the horror. This was a factory. Human beings were the raw material. All around the slab, more bones, buckets, sharp, rusted tools. But the most disturbing discovery was against the far wall. Chained to the concrete were people, or what was left of them, about 15, men and women, skeletal, their skin covered in sores. They were alive, but only just. Their eyes vacant, staring into nothingness. They didn't even look at us as we entered. They were already gone. I approached a woman, her leg wrapped in a filthy, blood-soaked rag. "Can you hear me?" I whispered. She didn't respond. Her eyes didn't flicker. These were the living witnesses to the unthinkable. We had to get them out. That was the only thought in my head. Chidi and I searched for keys, but found nothing. I called the state police, begging them to come. One survivor whispered, "They come at night. The man in the black truck, he brings a list." Every few nights a black truck would arrive. The guards would select someone. The chosen were taken to the slab. The guards were surgeons, removing only what was on the list. The police finally arrived, sirens shattering the silence. "He said they were underground," I repeated to the detective. "He said he was in a cell, under the ground." The detective frowned. We were in a single-story warehouse, no basement, no second level. The survivors we found were chained to the main wall, in plain sight. We searched every corner, stomped on the packed earth floor, listening for any hollow sound. Nothing. There was no underground cell, no hidden prison. Chidi was frantic. "We have to find him. We have to find my brother." The police were skeptical. They had found a horrific but self-contained crime scene. The survivors they rescued were the only ones they could see. The idea of a second hidden group of victims seemed unlikely. The police brought in heavy equipment the next day, but not to excavate. They demolished the warehouse. The concrete slab was shattered, the walls bulldozed, the site flattened. Within 48 hours, the death factory was gone, reduced to rubble and dirt. They had rescued 15 souls, but my mind and Chidi's was stuck on the whisper from the phone. Where was Samuel? Where was Amika? Where was the underground cell? It's been a month since that day. The story of the Anatara Forest horror was a national sensation for about a week. The news focused on the 15 survivors, the brutality of the guards, and the whispers of a shadowy client never found. The man in the black truck vanished. The public moved on. But I can't. Chidi and I went back to the site. It's just a clearing now, a scar of red earth. The forest is already reclaiming it, new green shoots pushing up through the rubble. Chidi brought a shovel. He started digging, convinced he'll find the metal door to the underground cell. He'll find his brother. I tried to stop him, but I couldn't. A part of me believes it too. The official report concluded Samuel was likely an early victim, his story a product of trauma. It's a neat, tidy explanation. It lets everyone sleep at night. But I was the one who stood in that forest, who felt its breathing presence. Logic is a fine thing in a sane world, but that warehouse was not part of a sane world. It was a tear in the fabric of reality. The police say there was no underground cell. The official record says there were only 15 survivors. But if that's true, why, on quiet nights, do people living on the edge of the Onaterra forest still claim to hear the faint, muffled sound of screaming coming from beneath the ground.